Hello everybody. In this video we're going to go over design reuse blocks. And a design reuse block is really a convenient way to reuse circuitry you have previously created in another design and use it for a new design. You may remember we had something called snippets beforehand. And design reuse blocks pretty much replace snippets. The difference between a snippet and a design reuse block is that a design reuse block can be synced between the schematic and PCB, and also it is a managed item in your Altium 365 workspace, so it can go through a life cycle and approval process and so on. Whereas snippets were more like a perpetual copy and paste, or you had a clipboard with different circuitry and you could paste that into your design. So this is a little bit more robust. So let's get into it. Here we're looking at my design here, and you see we have a few connectors, and you'll notice that these are exactly the same layout and circuitry. And you can see that here in 2D. And if we cross probe into the schematic, you'll notice that we have several instances of these circuits. And let's say, this is something I use often, and instead of recreating this every time, what I want to do is create a design reuse block for this circuit. So first thing I'll do is open up my design reuse block panel. And right now it's pointing to my local computer, and on my local machine I don't have anything, but I do have design reuse blocks on my Altium 365 workspace. And I will click this Create Reuse Block button, and what will happen is a new project will be created with both a schematic and a PCB. Now, before I forget, I do want to add another PCB, and the reason I'm doing that is because a design reuse block can have multiple layouts. So you can have one circuit, or one logical circuit in the schematic, and have multiple layouts for that logic. So I just want to add that in now before I forget later. So let's go ahead and close this panel. And we'll go to the schematic. So now we're looking at the design reuse block in the schematic. So what we need to do is copy and paste the circuitry from our current design into the design reuse block project. So let's go to my schematic. I will copy with Control-C and paste. And actually, I do want to mention something. So for a design reuse block, there are two ways that you can paste a reuse block. You can paste it as just a circuit, or just as the schematic elements. We have this, or you can place it as a sheet symbol. So that would look like this. And you'll notice that the ports here correspond to the sheet entries on my sheet symbol. Just wanted to let you know, because that kind of affects how you create your design reuse block. So now we're looking back at the design reuse block schematic. If I wanted to create just the design reuse block circuitry and have that pasted in, we're done with the logic. If we wanted to set it up where it can be placed as a sheet entry, then we have a little bit more work to do, and let's go through that right now. What we'll do is add some ports. So I'll go to my place menu and add some ports. I'll need 3. One for my input, output, and power. So we'll label this in, out, and power. We'll relabel this power, and we'll place 2 nets, one in and one out. Actually, and we'll have to place those over here as well. A little sloppy, but it'll do for now. Of my input, output, and power. Okay, so now our signals, our signals will go through this port and into the proper nets here. So we've got the logical schematic taken care of. Now let's go ahead and do the PCB layout. So again, we have to copy and paste from our original design. Something to help us out is cross-probing. So let's do this. I'm going to select all the components on my board, and I'm also selecting some nets. So when I'm in the PCB, we'll have my nets highlighted and also the components. I'm just going to do a Control-C and open up the PCB in the new reuse block project and press paste. Now I've pasted some extra things in here, so let's go ahead and delete those. If you want, you can delete the polygon, or you can keep it. If you do keep it, you probably want to, cut it down to size to fit your new component. So let me show you how to do that. What we'll do, we'll select the polygon, we'll right click on it and go to Polygon Actions. Then we'll click on Slice Polygon Pour. And we have successfully split one polygon into 2. I'll select this and delete it. Sometimes it just needs a quick refresh. So if we just move something real quick. Oh, sorry. Let's do this. Just modify this one polygon and it will refresh once I modify a polygon. That's just in my settings. Okay, so let's clean up this a little bit. I'll move these traces down here. And also, I do have some polygons I need to assign nets to. So let's assign a ground net to, actually, sorry, I'm getting ahead of myself. Currently, there are no nets, so I can't assign a net to this polygon. What I need to do is sync the schematic and PCB elements together. So what I will do is go to Design, Import Changes, and automatically create component links. There we go. We'll execute this ECO, and now I have nets in my project. So now we have to associate polygons or nets to these polygons. So let's go ahead and do that. That's going to be ground. I have one there Those will also be ground. This one will be power. And I'll have to do the same thing to these vias. There we go. You'll notice that these have a thermal relief connect style. I don't want that. So what I'll do is actually go ahead and open up my polygon manager. I'll select my polygons and go to new connect style. And I'll just force these to be direct connect and press OK. I will also repour my selected polygons. And now this is looking pretty good. So let's say I'm done. This is what I want my circuitry to look like. And I want to save this and put it on the workspace where the rest of my team can access it. All I have to do is save to the server, and we'll do that in the projects panel. Sorry. One thing I did forget. Remember, we added this extra PCB because I would have forgotten otherwise, as I just did. So you can't have two layouts for a single schematic. So let's go ahead and do that. So if we go into PCB1, actually what we'll do, let's do this. Let's just import the changes. It should just give me the plain components, not set up in any sort of fashion. Let's just randomly put these on here. And let's just say this is, the other layout that I want. So now let's save this to our 365 workspace. We'll give this a title and we'll call this best reuse block name, and a good description so we can know what we're looking at later. And where we want to save it. I'm going to save it in this same folder. And I'll go ahead and press OK. And you'll notice that, the reuse block project is gone from the projects panel. We saw the upload, and also it is now in my design reuse block panel. So let's do this. Let's create a new project. It'll just be a new blank project, and we'll add our reuse block to it and see how it looks. So let's add a new schematic and a new PCB. I'll just save my files. Okay, so now let's expand this to see what we're looking at. Hey, this is the design reuse block we just created. So let's go ahead and place this. This is just our circuitry. And if we want, we can place this as a sheet symbol as well. There we go. Also, remember we had two PCB configurations. What we can do, let's actually delete all this just for me. Let's make sure we're pasting one of each. So we want to, in one design, have both these layouts. Whoops, I'm sorry. Both of these layouts. So to do that, we'll place our circuitry in here twice. So this first one and the second layout, we'll do that. So now, when we go to the PCB and import our changes, we get our two layouts. Remember, that's this here and this one here. One more thing I do want to mention before we leave is pasting the designators. So you want to not make sure, but you want to be aware of this feature. And that is a paste feature, which I will get to in one moment. So you'll notice that all my designators have a question mark. So C question mark, D question mark, rather than C1, C2, D1, D2. That is because I have this checked on, this feature checked on, and that is the reset parts designator on paste. If I have that turned off, and I go to place, then my original C1, C2, D2, D3 will be preserved when I paste. So just be aware of that when you're working with these reuse blocks or really any copy-paste situation. And that's it. So thank you for watching, and I'll see you next time.